Guys, welcome back to my channel. We'll keep going to read again the Godfather, the really fascinating book about Italian mafia. Okay, let's start. Never give him something to earn his living a good living, but never let him know the family's business. Sudan paused. Instruct my sons, all three of them, that they will accompany me to the hospital to see poor Genka. I want them to pay their last respects. Tell Freddy to drive the big car and ask Johnny if he will come with us as a special favor to me. He saw Hagen look at him uh, questioningly, questioningly. I want you to go to California tonight. You won't have time to go see Genka, but don't leave until I come back from the hospital and speak with you. Understood? When Jenny Fontaine appeared in the garden, King Adams recognized him immediately. She was truly surprised. You never told me your family knew Johnny Fontaine, she said. No, I'm sure I'll marry you. Do you want to meet him? Michael asked. Not now, Kay said. She sighed. She sighed. I was in love with him for 3 years. I used to come down to New York whenever he sang at the Capitol. He was so wonderful. We'll meet him later, Michael said. When Jenny finished singing and went into the house in the Don Corleone, Kay said to Michael, don't tell me a big movie star like Johnny Fontaine has to ask your father for a favor. He's my father's godson, Michael said, and if it if it wasn't for my father, he might not be a big movie star today. Kate Adams laughed with a delight. It sounds like another great story. Michael shook his head. I can tell that one, he said. Trust me, she said. The story was quickly told. 8 years ago, Johnny Fontaine had made an extraordinary success singing with a popular dance band. He had become a top radio attraction. Unfortunately, the band leader, a well-known show business personality named Les Haley, has signed Johnny to a 5 years personal contract. It was a common show business practice. Les Haley could now pocket most of the money. The next day, Don Corleone went to see the band leader personally. He brought with him to best his two best friends, Genko Abandanda, who was his consigliere, and Luca Brasi. With no other witnesses, Don Corleone persuaded Les Holly to sign a document giving up all rights to all services from John Fontaine upon payment for a 30 feet check to the amount of $10,000. Don Corleone did this by putting a pistol to the forehead of the band leader and telling him with the utmost seriousness that either his signature or his brains would rest on the document in exactly 1 minute. Les Haley signed. Don Corleone pocketed his pistol and handed over the 30 feet check. The rest was history. Johnny Fontaine went on to become the greatest sensation in the country. He made Hollywood musicals that earned a fortune for his studio. His records made millions of dollars. Then he divorced his childhood sweetheart wife and left his two children to marry the most glamorous blonde star in motion pictures. He soon learned that she was a whore. He drank, he gambled, he loved other women, he lost his singing voice. His records stopped selling. The studio did not renew his contract, and so now he had come back to his father. Sorry, Godfather. Kay said truthfully, "Are you sure you're not jealous of your father? Everything you've told me about him shows him doing something for the other people. He must be good hearted." She smiled. "Of course, his methods are not exactly consti- constitutional." Michael sighed. "I guess that's the way it sounds, but let me tell you this. You know those Arctic explorers who leave caches of food scattered on the road of to the North Pole. Just in case they may need them someday. That's my father favors. Someday he'll be at each of the, on each one of those people's house, and they had better come across." It was it was early at twilight before the wedding cake was eaten. Then the Don politely said goodbye to his guests. Finally, the only car left in the driveway was the lawn-back Cadillac with Freddie at the wheel. Don got into the front seat, moving quickly for his age and bulk. Sonny, Michael, and Johnny Fontaine got into the back seat. Uncle Leon said to his son Michael, your girlfriend, she'll get back to the city by herself, all right?" Michael nodded. Tom said he'd take care of it. There was little traffic on the way to Manhattan. In less than an hour, the Cadillac rolled into the street of French Hospital. As they walked towards the hospital entrance, Don Corleone put his hand on Michael's arm. "When you get through with college, come and talk to me." The Don said, "I have some plans you will like." Michael didn't say anything. "I know how you are. I won't ask you to do anything you don't approve of. This is something special. Go your own way now. You're a man after all. But come to me as soon as son should when you have finished with your schooling." The family of Genga Abandanda, five and three daughters dressed in black, stayed in the hospital corridor. A nurse and doctors came out of Genga Abandanda private room. Oh, one of the daughters asked the doctor timidly, "Dr. Kennedy, can we go to see him now?" "I think just the immediate family," he said in his polite voice. "My dear doctor," said Don Corleone, "is it true he's died?" "Yes," said Dr. Kennedy. "Since there is nothing more for you to do," said Don Corleone, "we'll comfort him. We'll close his eyes. We'll bury him and wait at his funeral, and afterwards we will watch over his wife and daughters." At hearing things put so bluntly, Mr. Abandando began to weep. The dying man raised his eyes gratefully to the Don who pressed his old friend's hand. He said comfortably, "Hurry up and get better, and we'll take a trip back to Italy together, to our old village." The dying man shook his head. He tried to speak, then he whispered. The Don bent closer. With a superhuman effort, Abandando lifted his head off his pillow and pointed a skeletal forefinger at the Don. "Godfather, Godfather," he called out, "save me from death. I beg of you." The Don was silent. Abandando said, "It is your daughter's wedding day. You cannot refuse me." and spoke quietly. "Oh, friend," he said, I have no such powers. If I did, I would be more merciful than God, believe me." Don got up, but Abandanda put out his hands. "Godfather," he said, stay here with me and help me meet Dad. Perhaps if he sees you near me, he will be frightened and leave me in peace. Or perhaps you can say a word, pull a few strings, eh? Eh? Stay with me. Let me hold your hand. We'll outwit that bastard as we've outwitted others. Godfather, don't betray me." The Don waved the other people out of the room. He left. He took Genga Abandando's hand. Softly he comforted his friend as they waited for death together. The wedding day of Connie Corleone ended well for her. Carlo Rizzi performed his duties as a bridegroom with skill and vigor, inspired by the contents of the bride's gift purse, which totaled up to over $20,000. The bride, however, gave up her virginity was a great deal. The bride, however, gave up her virginity with a great deal more willingness that she gave up her purse. First later, he had to blame one of her eyes. Lucy Mancini waited in her house for a call from Sonny Colin, sure that he would ask her for a date. Finally, she called his house, and when she heard a woman's voice answer the phone, she hung up. She didn't know that Norlin everyone in the wedding noticed the absence of her and Sonny, and the gossip was already spread. The Santino Corleone had found another victim, and he had done the job on his own sister's maid of honor. Amerigo Benacera had a terrible nightmare. In his dreams, he saw Don Corleone putting bullet really corpses in front of his funeral parlor and shouting, "Remember, Amerigo, not a word to anyone." In Buick said quickly. He groaned so loud and long in his sleep that his wife woke him up. "Hey, what a man you are," She grumbled. "To have a nightmare only after a wedding." Kay Adams was escorted to her New York City hotel by Polly, Gatto, and Slamanza. The car was large, luxurious, and driven by Gatto. Slamanza sat in the back seat, and Kay was given in the front seat next to the driver. During the ride, she chatted casually with both men and was so surprised when they spoke of Michael with affection and respect. He had led her to believe that he was a lion in his father's world. Now Clemente was assuring her that the old man thought Mike was the best of his sons, the one who would surely inherit the family business. "What business is that?" Kay asked in the most natural way. Polygato gave her a quick glance as he turned the wheel behind her. Clemenza said in surprised voice, "Sorry for a mistake. Didn't Mike tell you? Mr. Carlin is the biggest importer of Italian olive oil in the States. Now that the war is over, the business could get real rich. He'll need a smart boy like Mike." After she received her room, he walked her to the elevator and waited until she got in. She waved to him, smiling, and was surprised at his smile of pleasure in return. Then he went back to the hotel clerk and asked what name she registered under. The hotel clerk looked at Samantha coldly. Samantha rolled the little green speedball. He was holding his hand across to the clerk, who picked it up immediately. Said, "Mister and Mr. Michael Carleon." Back in the car, Polly Gatto said, "A nice name." Samantha grumbled. Mike is doing the job on her, unless he thought they were really married. It was Sunday night before Tom and Hagen could kiss his wife goodbye and drive out to the airport. It had been a busy but satisfying day for Tom Hagen. Gengo Abandanda had died at 3 in the morning, and when Don Corleone returned from the hospital, he had informed Hagen that he was now officially the new consigliere to the family. This meant that Hagen was sure to become a very rich man, to say nothing of power. The Don had broken a long-standing tradition. The consigliere was always a Sicilian. Only a Sicilian born to the ways of Omerta, the law of silence, could be trusted in the key post of consigliere. That Sunday morning, Don Corleone gave instructions on what should be done to the young man who had beaten the daughter of Ergo Bonacero. He had given those orders in private to Tom Hagen. Later in the day, Hagen had introduced Clemenza, who in his turn had told Poligato to execute the commission. Consigliere was the counselor to the Don, his right-hand man. He was also his closest companion and his closest friend. On important trips, he would drive the Don's car at the conferences. He would go out and get the Don refreshments, coffee and sandwiches, fresh cigars. He would know everything the Don knew. He was the one man in the world who could destroy the Don, but no consigliere had ever betrayed a Don, not in the memory of any of the powerful Sicilian families who had established themselves in America. And our consigliere knew that if he stayed loyal, he would become rich, gain power, and was respect. If misfortune came, his wife and children would be sheltered and cared for as he were alive or free. So I need to go for a second. Sorry.